This is a long chapter, so fasten your seatbelts. And also, this is probably really also going to expose one, another person who tries to bring him down. In February 2003, another strange chapter in Michael's life opened with the highly controversial documentary Living with Michael Jackson, which first attracted 50 million viewers in the United Kingdom and more than double that in the United States. The program made excitable headlines on both sides of the Atlantic for its subject, Michael and interviewer presenter Martin Poopsmeer. Prior to the Michael Jackson interview, Martin Poopsmeer was the most famous for his 1995 television dissection of Diana, Princess of Wales. Almost 23 million people watched her confess royal unhappiness about her difficult marriage to Prince Charles. His relationship to Camilla Parker Bowles and the complex personal embarrassment Diana called Three in a Marriage. Soon after, the Queen urged Charles and Diana to divorce because Diana had won globally sympathy with her interview. Michael believed Martin when he presented himself as the man who turned Diana's life around. Actually, if he had examined the history of the Diana documentary, he would have found that it didn't help her. As she revealed details of her tragic recent life in a halting, hypnotic voice, it was as if she had decided to self destruct and do it on television. During her interviews, she seemed distant, aloof, and damaged. To her advantage, though, she was the victim of certain challenges such as eating disorders and marital discord, which could at least be understandable to the viewer. There is no way she would be viewed as a freak of nature. Instead, she appeared to be a sad woman whose life had spun out of control and was still spinning. In fact, and who had decided to just come clean with it. However, Michael Jackson, with his plastic surgeries, babies with no maternal presence, and intense fascination with youngsters, took a greater risk when he decided to allow Martin Poopsmeer into the environment his first wife called his role of wonder. After his Diana extravaganza, Martin Poopsmeer won an award from the British Academy of Film and Television Artists and was named the Royal Television Society's Journalist of the Year for 1996. He subsequently landed other high profile interviews, including one with anguished gay British actor comedian Barrymore in the news after the journey of a young man during a party at his house. Martin courted Michael Jackson for 5 years, trying to convince him to participate in the documentary. Finally, after being recommended by Michael's friend, the paranormalist Yuri Geller, Martin was given an audience with Michael during which he was able to convince him to cooperate. Michael then allowed him to total access to his life for 8 months, despite the fact that his advisors felt that such cooperation would not bode well for him. Martin Poopsmeer spent time in Neverland and California and traveled across the United States and Europe with Michael. Yuri would later regret having ever introduced Michael to Martin. The most interesting aspect of the documentary is not what it revealed, though much of it was outstanding. What fascinates about Living with Michael Jackson is that its subject over allowed to be filmed, which suggests that Michael either still does not understand how he is preserved by much of the public or that he doesn't care. He truly believed, according to those who knew him best, that it was a savvy public relations maneuver to allow a stranger to document his role from an outside viewpoint. and in a way that would prevent Michael from having control over the final content. He wasn't thinking clearly about it. He thought well, it was a cool thing to do because Diana had done it, and he sure felt that the public would be interested in his life. He never imagined anyone would be shocked by it because he simply does not think he or his life is shocking. Some in Michael's camp, like John Branca, it was said, never believed the project would be completed, like many entertainers. Michael involves himself in many projects that never get past the development stage, and it was hoped that this one would be another on that list. Such a project would surely never have been released in days long gone when others had influence over him. Some supporters of Michaels have tried to spin the Martin Poopsmeer documentary as a positive in the star's life, saying that he presented a sympathetic image of himself in it. Of course, while watching him discuss the beatings he endured by his father, one's heart went out to him. Michael recalled that Joseph sat in the chair as the boys rehearsed, and had his bill in his hand, and if you don't do the right way, he would tear you up, really get you. It was bad, real bad. He was still traumatized by his childhood, and it doesn't appear that he has come to terms with much of it. However, that said, most of the rest of the 110 minutes made Michael appear to be about as eccentric a character as pop culture has ever produced. For instance, his description of Paris's birth. I was so anxious to get her home after cutting the cord. I hate to say this, I snatched her and just went home with all the placenta and everything all over her. I just got her in a towel and ran. Privately, David Road takes the absurdity to a new level by confirming that Michael had the placenta frozen. Of course, he did, one might observe. How else would he keep it? Michael's constant complaint about sensational tabloid coverage of his life seems irrelevant when his actions were jaw-dropping enough to provide true material to such publications. Michael Janko kidnaps his own baby just hours after birth, screamed the front page headline in the story of April 1998. He just snatched the kid away from her. Jacko snatches baby minutes after birth, blared the headline in the National Courier that same week. Michael gave Debbie a peck on the cheek, took Paris in his arms, and whisked her off. Who would have believed these stories? Dumb people. However, when the writers of those articles may have thought a leap to report that Michael had the placenta frozen, that would have been too much of a stretch even for him. Other scenes showed him feeding Prince Michael II with a bottle as he fed the infant concealed by a green shiffon scarf. Michael vigorously bounced him on his knee. I love you, Blanket, he cooed. I love you, Blanket. Then, seeming somewhat wild-eyed and jittery, he recalled his actions on the balcony in Germany, explaining that he had the infant firmly in hand when he briefly dangled him off the side, and that it was the Mia that was responsible for the ensuing fracas, not him. When I put a scarf over the baby's face as if I was trying to throw him off a balcony, Michael asked, angrily. We were waving to thousands of fans below, and they were chained to see my child, and I was kind enough to let them see. Of his love for children, he noted, I'll say it a million times. I'm not afraid to say it. If there are no children on this earth, if somebody announced that all kids are dead, I will jump off the balcony immediately. I'm done. I'm done. Most many, perhaps, was Michael's instances that I have had no plastic surgery on my face, just my nose. It helped me breathe better so I could hit the higher notes. He claimed that he only had two surgeries, both on his nose. I'm telling you the honest truth. I don't do anything to my face, he said. After all these years, one would think he would have a better deal way to deal with the issue of plastic surgery. How about obviously, I have had plastic surgery. Next question, please. Who would argue with that? Throughout the ages, the one safe haven to which a celebrity could always retreat from aggressive media is the no comment zone. It works. Jackie Kennedy, for instance, rarely had interview public comment to make anything but it, and no one held it against her. It's often better. In fact, if celebrities have nothing to say, especially if they were unconventional people who behave in a way that no matter how much they try, they simply will not be able to explain to anyone's satisfaction. For anyone who knew Michael, watching the Martin Poopsmeer documentary was painful. Liz Marie Presley telephoned Neverland the next morning, telling his assistant that she wanted to speak to Michael as soon as possible. She was in another state on a radio tour for her album. Still, she took the time to call to see how her ex-husband was handling the highly publicized controversy. When Michael heard that Lisa was trying to reach him, his heart began to race. He still hasn't got over what he shared, and according to what he has said, believes that one day somehow they will be together again. When Lisa married actor Nicolas Cage in Hawaii in November 2002, Michael had been troubled. When they separated after less than 4 months, he called her to check in on her. Oh, don't worry about me, she told him. It's just another storm in my life. I'm getting through it, just shoveling through the BS, he laughed. He called her at the number she left him for. Dude, Lisa said as she got on the line, that documentary sucked, man. What were you thinking? They couldn't stop laughing, leave it to her to lift his spirits. Oh, screw Martin Poopsmeer, she said. That guy's never gonna work again, Michael. Who would ever trust him? Again, stupid people. He is over. You killed his career. I think maybe he tried to kill mine, Lisa, Michael said. Oh, please, she told him. It's gonna take more than that head of a reporter to kill your career, believe me. It'll be argued that Martin had exploited Michael with all of his leading questions. His presumptions express fascination and bemusement. For instance, he encouraged Michael to climb the tree atop, which he writes many of his songs, while one with the beat of Neverland, his so-called magic tree. One doubts he did so because he was trying to show Michael's playful side. What he got was the image of Michael sitting alone on top of a tree. It worked. It was touching and even somewhat disturbing. When Martin later followed Michael in a Las Vegas shopping spree and observed him spending thousands of dollars on the worst, most gaudy furnishings, was he doing it for any other reason than to make Michael look like a spectacle? But why, by the same token, did Michael allow himself to be seen this way? There were also a number of sentimentalist voiceovers from Martin as he stood in judgment of Michael and his life. Michael was home in Neverland with a few friends and advisors when he viewed an advanced copy of Living with Michael Jackson just before it aired in the UK. He expected to be pleased with it. However, he knew within 5 minutes that he was going to be very unhappy, Senator Associated. He watched quietly. You could hear a pin drop in the room. No one wanted to say a word. When it was over, he was quiet. He kept saying, I can't believe he would do this to me. There was a lot of discussion about blocking the program's broadcast, but not much hope held out for it. Mike drank a lot of wine that night, trying to dull the misery. It wasn't until the next day that he became angry. Then he was adamant that he didn't want it released. His attorney said there was no way to block it. Don't tell me that now. Find a way, he said angrily. However, they were able to do that. In a final analysis, though, Michael did say that he said it was the way he was. Tricky editing had nothing to do with him. And at the age of 44, holding hands and giggling with a cancer survivor aged 12, and meaning that he sometimes sleeps in the same room with him, recalled the youngster, his head nuzzled against Michael's shoulder. I was like, Michael, you can sleep with room, and he was like, no, no, you sleep in the bed. And I was like, no, 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 you sleep in the bed. And then he said, look, if you let me, then you'll sleep in the bed. I was like, oh man, said the youngster. So I finally slept in the bed. Michael slept on the floor. As the boy spoke, Michael gazed upon him steadily, clearly wanting to convey his affection and devotion. Once again, by his own doing, he had presented himself to the world in a way that would cause the raising of eyebrows and the wagging of tongues. Michael told Martin, I have slept in the bed with many children. Why can't you share your bed? The most loving thing to do is to share your bed with someone. When you say bed, you're thinking it's sexual. They made that sexual. It's not sexual. We're going to sleep. I tucked them in and I put a little music on. And when it's story time, I read a book. We go to sleep with the fireplace on. I gave them hot milk, we have cookies. It's very charming. It's very sweet. It's what the whole world should do. Hang on. Never mind. All right, I'm back. Of course, talent and access go hand in hand in the entertainment world, and in some ways, Michael Jackson may be no more eccentric than certain other pop stars in pop history. Imagine what living with Elvis might look like in his declining years. Circulated at Graceland, paranoid and on drugs. The problem for Michael is that let me see.